What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the stream. Anybody that's watching this during the replay afterwards, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch little old me. Anybody that's coming in and watching this now, thank you so much. I see people trickling in. Really appreciate you all spending the time with me. So, big debate going around that's been going around for quite some time is the bubble ring, right? The Lakers getting a NBA championship during the bubble. And there are many people that believe that it didn't count, that it wasn't, a valid ring. And that's what I wanted to debate and talk about with all of you here on this stream. Make some points, have some discussions, whether you think it counts, whether you don't think it counts. Let's get to the bottom of it. I thought it'd be a fun point of discussion for a Lakers live stream. And that being said, let's get into some of this. So, right off the bat, we got Dario. Why? Just because it was the Lakers. That is an excellent point, right? That's one of the big things that I've talked about in the past, right? When people have brought this up when it comes to the Lakers, right? Of course, it's an elevated thing. I think if anybody won that championship besides the Lakers, no, it wouldn't even be a point of discussion. Nobody would be talking about if it counted or this, that, and the other. People like to talk about the bubble ring not being legit because it's the Lakers. Like not taking into account that there were other teams. Not like the Lakers showed up and they were like, here's a championship. Congratulations. You're the Lakers. You win a championship. No, it was a fair playing ground for all teams that were a part of that. And the Lakers were the one team that came on top. It's not their fault that they were the ones that were able to win that championship. So I completely get that point. There will always be people who question the validity of a championship, like the Raptors with Kawhi. Golden State weren't injured. Would the Raptors still have won? Absolutely. I mean, so even that's actually a good point as well, is that, every championship has its asterisks, right? Even teams that didn't win the championship, right? The Celtics, like, would they have been to the finals had Chris Middleton not gotten hurt, right? If he was healthy, wouldn't they have lost and they wouldn't even got there? Maybe the Bucks win another championship because they match up better with the Warriors, stuff like that. There's always ways to dissect things. There's always ways to go about things. But the difference too, as to like something like this, is that with the Raptors, like injuries were a huge factor in that. When it came to the Lakers thing, like everyone was pretty healthy, about as healthy as it gets, because everyone had like 4 months off. And could that have been a factor as to why LeBron and Davis were able to play to the level that they were? Possibly. But so was everyone else. Everyone else was healthy. And they even prolonged the bubble so some of the teams could get their players healthier before. Like the Clippers, there were still questions about Kawhi, stuff like that. And they prolonged it so that way every team had about as fair of a playing ground as possible. So everyone could, be equal in that situation. And it was about as fair as it gets. Another big thing, too, is that when it comes to that bubble ring, right, and stuff, like, if anything, isn't it the hardest championship that anyone's ever had to win? Because everybody that was in the bubble, from the media to the reporters to, the players, the coaches, everybody talked in consensus that this was just mentally draining. Not being away from your families, not having fans in the stands, all that stuff, being locked in a room in isolation, all this stuff, being in this little bubble. Like, yeah, you could go out, but it's like, how many times can you just walk around Disneyland? Stuff like that. It was very draining for so many teams. And there were teams that literally wanted to leave. They wanted to scratch this season because it was so mentally draining and so tough that, it's not the Lakers' fault that they were one of the teams that were mentally tough enough to handle the environment and still perform to a level to which they could win a championship for. Even teams like the Clippers, they were up 3-1 in that thing and just blew it. Like there were circumstances for all teams, but the Lakers were the one team that managed to come out on top. Yes, it counts. Hell yeah, it is legit. I'm with you. I do. I think that, I think that the fact that the Lakers were able to pull it off is a testament to that team, that team's camaraderie, relationship, that brotherhood, being able to hold each other accountable. I mean, we saw that entire year. And it's not like the Lakers were a terrible team. It's not like they were a team that just squeezed into the playoffs and then ended up winning the championship. No, they were arguably the best team in the entire league the entire year. They were something like ridiculous, like 23 and 0 or something like that when leading into the fourth quarter. Like, so they were closing out games. They were one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league, from the very beginning. If they were the eighth seed and ended up winning the championship, okay, maybe you have a conversation, maybe you have a discussion, maybe you have something there to kind of, further validate your argument. But it wasn't. The Lakers were what? They were the 1 or 2 seed, I think, that year in the West. So they were able to get there and win the championship. It's just how it is. I don't think anything should be taken away or not taken into account with it. Championship is a championship. People still making fun of us. How about let's make fun of those teams that did not win it? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're right. Championship is a championship, and I've said that countless times. However you won, you still won. There are teams that have never even been to the finals. Like a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, they've only been to one Western Conference Finals. They've never even sniffed the finals, and their entire duration as an organization, they've been to one conference finals. Look at teams like the Suns. The Suns have had some of the best teams in history and have never won an NBA championship. They've been to the finals a couple times, but to actually win it, they've never won one. There are countless teams that have never won an NBA championship. There's still teams that have never even been to the finals. So, a championship is a championship no matter what. And it's just, again, it goes in the Lakers. If the Lakers weren't the Lakers and they would have won the championship, nobody would be talking about anything. Nobody would be like, oh, well, it's because, no, it would be a fair championship across the board. This was about as fair of a championship as it gets for teams. Celtics fans celebrated getting to the Eastern Conference Finals in the bubble, but bashed the teams that won it. Exactly. Because everyone wants their team to win. Everyone thinks that, if the Celtics would have won the finals, everyone have been talking about how that Celtics team the greatest Celtics team ever, and they deserve to be talked about and stuff. Or if like Miami would have won the championship that year, is that Miami team one of the most mentally tough finals teams in history? It's because it was the Lakers. But everybody from top to bottom had a fair shake at it. There were talks about this could be the one year that an 8th seed could actually win the finals, because all these teams had months off and they all were healthy, and it was just a weird environment, and it was just something different, and players were seeing profound effects of not being in a normal environment, normal situation. You don't think players of the home team don't draw energy from the crowd? You don't think energy has any impact from the crowd's perspective on the game? Of course it does. Teams buy into that. They feed into that. Players feed into, the stands, the people screaming and cheering their names, MVP, all of that stuff. It gives you that extra gear. And then for the teams that are on the road, those fans, cursing at you, screaming at you, all that stuff. All you want to do is just shut them up. All you want to do is just make a big play or get a big block or get a big dunk or something and just silence everybody. Not having a audience was a huge issue. It was a huge adjustment. And everybody in the bubble talked about it. Like, it wasn't like it just like nobody, like everyone was like, it made no difference. It was no big deal. Yeah, fans, no fans, whatever. No, they were talking about how awkward and weird it was and how hard it was to adjust to the fact that there were no fans. And you could actually, hear the squeaking. You could hear the commentators talking, all of that stuff. Like, it's a different environment that you had to adjust to if you were a player. And so I don't understand the whole, it doesn't count because of this. If anything, it was the hardest championship we've had in recent years. That championship was even more special. Was for Kobe also. Absolutely. Big facts. It is. It's one of those things, they wanted to do it to honor Kobe. Unfortunately his passing and stuff like that was something that shook the world, right? I mean, it's something that still to this day just doesn't seem real. You're just like, what? And to be able to go get into the bubble, be that mentally tough, be that team that was just so together. And we saw that the entire season. The entire season, we saw the players. They were each other's biggest fans. Like the chemistry of that team was unreal. Seriously, like they all sacrificed for each other. They were all a real brotherhood. They all really were trying to achieve this goal, and it was incredible. It was great to see. Um, 55-0, number one. Facts. If any other team won, everybody would be saying it's legit. All Laker haters say it's a bubble ring. Exactly. It's my point exactly. If this was anybody else besides the Lakers, there wouldn't be a question about it. They'd be talking about how this team, like, is this team the toughest? Like, is this team this, that, and the other? But no, it's because of the Lakers. They like to say, oh well, they had 4 months off. So did everybody else. It wasn't like they made everybody else play and they told the Lakers, hey, tell you what, just stay at home, take a couple months off. We're gonna do this bubble thing soon. We're gonna have these teams get tired out, worn out, all that stuff. And we saw all of the younger teams have that advantage because they all had fresh legs. They were, I mean, you saw Denver do better than they've done ever, like all that stuff. It's just because there was huge implications and huge impacts for all the teams. The Lakers were just the team that was able to grind it out and do what they needed to do in order to win that championship. And you can't knock them for it. Like they did what they had to do. How come if the bubble ring doesn't count, how come no one else was able to win it? How come no one else was able to do what they needed to do? What advantage did the Lakers get that no other team got? There isn't any. Every team got the exact same advantage. Every team, it was about as even of a playing field as possible. Like I said, they even extended it longer so some of the teams' best players could have an extra like week or two of health, so that way they could get on the court as well. Because it was like this guy's still about a week away. Okay, like what do we got? Consensus. Okay, we'll start this next week. All the teams will get involved and all that stuff. Like it's just how it was. People are just haters because they ain't us. They are jealous of our Lakers that we got 17 chips. Yeah, I mean, it's what is it? Uh, what's that movie with Seth Rogen and James Franco? It's like they hate us because they ain't us. Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. We got our chip, and if it was that easy, why didn't somebody else win it? If it wasn't legit, how come somebody else didn't win it? Like what advantage do the Lakers have that no other team had? Everyone got the exact same advantage. And like I said, everybody that was inside the bubble all talked about how it was the hardest experience they've ever had as a player. Like media, coaching, organizations, players, everybody from top to bottom all talked about how difficult it was to be in that bubble, how mentally challenging and just draining it was. So, it's not, is it the Lakers' fault that they were the most mentally tough? Like if is that their advantage that they were just more mentally tough than everyone else? That's not the Lakers' fault. The Lakers did what they had to do. They showed up, they beat who was in front of them, and they won the championship. That's how it works. Whether it's this finals or next finals or finals 10 years from now. I don't care if we play basketball in the streets. Championship is a championship. Exactly. As long as it is an even playing field for all parties. As long as everybody that's involved all have the same shake. They were all dealt the same card. As long as you all started in the same place, then whoever comes out on top and wins is whoever comes on top and wins. It has nothing to do with anything else. Again, the Lakers, it's not like the Lakers got an unfair advantage. It's not like the Lakers got, like I said, it's not like everyone else had to play and the Lakers got to stay home for another month. No, it wasn't anything like that. They all had the exact same shake. And the Lakers were just able to make it out on top. They were able to get it done. They kept saying the Lakers were in trouble after going down 0-1 in round 1 and 2. Then they said it was too easy. Exactly. Because it's always flipped. If the Lakers lost, everyone would have been talking about how the Lakers suck, LeBron's this, Davis is this. Look, they made that trade for nothing, this, that, and the other. It would have been all conversation. Anytime the Lakers go down anything, they always worry, And, I mean, you want to talk about circumstances, right? If you want to talk about like what ifs and stuff like that and fair advantages, the following year, the Lakers were an Anthony Davis away from beating the Suns. They were up 2-1. It looked like they were going to win and go up 3-1. And then Anthony Davis got hurt. Like, how come no one talks about the Suns making it to the finals with an asterisk? You know, how come no one talks about Boston making it to the finals with an asterisk? You know, like, Blucka earlier mentioned how, the Toronto Raptors. How come no one talks about that as an asterisk? People still talk about the bubble ring. You know, it's like, what about Toronto? Like the Golden State Warriors literally lost their entire team. Everybody went down. Everybody was hurt in the finals. Otherwise, Toronto probably wouldn't have won a championship. But everyone counts that. Everyone says that's okay. Everyone, because it's not the Lakers. Because it wasn't the Lakers that happened to. If it were playing the Warriors and that happened to the Warriors, and everyone would have been like, oh, the Lakers only beat the Warriors because everyone got injured. You couldn't beat the Warriors healthy, this, that, and the other. No, everyone was praising Toronto after it and like acted like the Warriors' entire team didn't just fall apart. Like, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph was hurt, Draymond was hurt, all of that. Draymond's talked about it even in this finals run. When everyone's like, how do you know you're going to win the finals so much? Well, because nobody's beating us at full strength. And he's right. No one is beating them at full strength. So, no one puts an asterisk next to that, Yep, that championship is legit as any other championship. And people who say otherwise don't have much of a brain. I'm with you, Leroy. It's one of those things. Like, like I said, it was an even playing field. Everyone had a fair shake. And the Lakers just came out on top. They won. People are going to say the same thing if we win it next year, but not in the bubble. People always try to put an asterisk next to Lakers championships, right? Always. Lakers could go on and win the next 3, and every year somebody will be like, oh, well, they only won because of this, or they only won because of that, or, whatever. They got Kyrie Irving, they're cheating. Like, well, why didn't somebody else get Kyrie Irving? Like, it's always those things. Like, oh, well, the Lakers got Anthony Davis. Why didn't somebody else trade for Anthony Davis? Like, well, the Lakers signed LeBron. Like, LeBron went with nobody because he trusted that the Lakers would get the pieces he needs to win a championship. And guess what? They did, and they won a championship. You can't fault the Lakers for being that team that gets it done over and over again. The Lakers have always taken the shot, always taken the risk, always gotten the player that they want. They've always been willing to do whatever it takes. How many organizations do we have that just don't care? They don't care about winning. As long as there's fans in the seats and as long as they are making money, that's all they care about. They don't care if they ever win a championship. They don't care. Even the owner for the Suns is notorious for being cheap. It's everything. It's just we have so many organizations in this league that the owners bought this as a business investment, and that's all they want it to be. They don't care whether they win 1 championship or 0, nothing. You can't fault the Lakers for being an organization that wants to win, that has the desire to win, that is an organization that, year in and year out, do whatever it takes to try to put together what they can to win. They've had downtimes just like everyone else. All teams have downtimes. All teams have anything, right? But at the end of the day, it comes down to, the Lakers are willing to they're willing to spend the money, trade the assets, do whatever it takes to go get the Lakers because you win a championship. Like even the Anthony Davis trade, like people like to talk about like, oh, they gave up too much, they did this, that, and the other. The Lakers won the championship. So who cares? They were going to win. They weren't going to win a championship that year or probably the next 7 years. Who in that trade right now is leading their team to a championship? Nobody. Half the players aren't even on playoff teams, and the other half were in the play-in and got eliminated. As great as Brandon Ingram is, and I wish that they would have been able to keep Brandon Ingram. I love Brandon Ingram, but he's not leading them to a championship. He's not leading the Pelicans to a championship. Again, what are you supposed to do? It's not the Lakers' fault that they're an organization that believes in winning. It's not their fault that they're an organization that is willing to do whatever it takes. Cry to your own team. Stop going to the games. Tell them, be like, until you win a championship, we ain't going anymore because you guys don't care. Like I said, a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, they've been to 1 Western Conference Finals in their existence. Like the Phoenix Suns, they've had some of the greatest teams ever and have never won a championship. They've been to the finals, but they have never won. You have teams like the Knicks. The Knicks are supposed to be the mecca of basketball. They're one of the most decorated franchises in sports history. This, that, and the other. And they haven't been relevant since the 70s. I mean, seriously, they haven't won a championship since they haven't even been in title contention since the 70s. Like, they've had teams on paper that look good, but no, like the Knicks have been terribly ran because they have an owner that doesn't care. They have an owner that thinks that he knows better than the actual professionals. They have an owner that doesn't want to spend money, that he's like, I'm making billions of dollars. Why would I change anything? And they've been terribly ran for years and years and years. It's not the Lakers' fault that other teams can't get their stuff together. It's the reality. Write to your organization, tell them to stop sucking. I don't know what else to tell you. Sorry, we're the best franchise ever, and we don't build through the draft. We build through free agency. We go the fast route. Yeah, I mean, like the Lakers, 2004, the Lakers model was we don't rebuild, we retool. And that's what they've always done. And don't get me wrong, Lakers do have things about them that is attractive. They're in Hollywood, right? They're in LA, beautiful climate, beautiful people. You got endorsement deals, you got, Silicon Valley. There's so many things that the Lakers have that are very enticing for players, compared to like, whatever, Memphis or something like that. Not many star players are like, where I want to go is Memphis, and so they do have inherent disadvantages. If we're going to talk about all the, the fair playing field, and we're going to talk highly about the Lakers, we got to be fair, right? And so there are a lot of teams that aren't fair. But again, what are those teams doing when they do have the talent in order to compete? Because take a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had arguably the greatest player ever who led them to a finals and did nothing. You want Mo Williams? We got Mo Williams. Don't worry. Oh, you want Anderson Varejao? Anderson Varejao. Gauskas. Here you go. Look, man, we got your talent. Go win us a championship. And they had chance after chance after chance to go get stars. There was who was it? Gilbert Arenas, I think. He was a guy that said that he talked about like he wanted to be traded there at one point, and he actually talked about them being there, stuff like that. Like the Cavs did nothing. And this happens so much with these teams. These teams get like those once in a generational players, and they don't do what is necessary to win. Like what is Memphis going to do? Memphis has Ja Morant, who looks like he could be the future face of the league. What are they going to do in order to try to put talent around him to win a championship? Like I said, Cleveland with LeBron. The Cleveland learned its lesson the second time LeBron came back, but LeBron had to basically spank Cleveland and Dan Gilbert and all that stuff. Dan Gilbert's crying and this, that, and the other. And, and you see all these owners, especially Dan Gilbert, guys like that, anytime there's a trade or anytime there's this, that, and the other, they go over and they cry and, oh, it's not fair. It's like, why didn't you make the trade then? You have the assets. You have the pieces. Why didn't you go do it? Instead of crying, no, you cry when you don't get the player you want, but you're not doing anything to try to make your team better. You're not trying to do anything to elevate your team and make them a better team. It's silly. It is. I think that short offseason hurt Davis and LeBron. They were so beat up in 2021, not enough rest. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there definitely was fact. Like, how come that's not an asterisk? Because all the players had to do that. No one talks about that the shortened season going into that, and Lakers played longer than anybody. And that year, the following year in 2021, all the teams that were good the year prior, all were eliminated because all the teams that played in the longest were all eliminated, right? Miami lost in the first round. The Lakers lost. You had Dallas lost. Denver. You had all these teams that everyone was falling apart. Remember 2021? Everyone was talking about is this the most injury riddled season ever? And is it because of the shortened season? All that stuff, and the Lakers still were an Anthony Davis healthy away for possibly being in the finals again. And would they have won? Who knows? But Anthony Davis was dominant and no one had an answer for him. So what would the Laker fans say had the Clippers won the bubble ring and called themselves the Kings of LA? Well, first off, they wouldn't be the Kings of LA. You can't win one championship and call yourself the Kings of LA, especially when you've had a history of just being terrible, but could they have had bragging rights? Absolutely. Like if the Clippers would have won and they would have said, hey, this is our year, all that stuff, we got it done, finally got over the hump, then yeah, I mean, you have some bragging rights. If you win any team that wins the championship, like the Warriors, they have bragging rights. You win it, guess what? You get to talk your stuff, right? That's just how it works. But I mean, calling themselves the Kings of LA, like relax, like it's like the little brother winning spending, now you're 25 and you finally let your little brother win, and it's like, oh, I'm the better brother. It's like, I could relax. Like I've been smashing you for the last 20 years, so if you're being honest, the Laker fans would have discounted and belittled the bubble ring so bad. Stop with the cap. No. But here's the thing. You don't know that. Would there have been some fans? Absolutely. But a championship is a championship. Are Laker fans belittling and talking about the Warriors winning the championship this year? No. I mean, are there some? Of course. There's always going to be the extreme fans. Always. But for the most part, everyone's like, the Warriors won. Real NBA fans. If the Miami Heat would have beaten the Lakers and it was fair, like if Anthony Davis got hurt or LeBron got hurt in the finals, then yeah, a lot of Laker fans, a lot of stuff like that would have been like, hey, if LeBron didn't get hurt in that finals, we would have won that finals. And yes, they would have been talking this. But if it was a fair playing field, most NBA fans, Laker fans, they would have like, what are you going to say? What trash are you going to talk? Like none of that. There's nothing to say. Like when the Suns beat the Lakers the following year, people like Laker fans were going and saying, oh, well, were there some? Absolutely. But most Laker fans were like, yeah, we got beat. It sucks Anthony Davis went down. What would have happened if Anthony Davis wasn't hurt, like I mentioned earlier? Like, no, it's just the Lakers. You can't. So if we're being real here, Xavier, you're telling me that the Lakers don't get more hate than probably any team in the league? Like, seriously, do they or do they not? Because they definitely do. They tried to not count the MPLS championship in R17 too. Yeah, there's always... They always try to find that, oh, well, this, that, and the other. It's always those things. Haters are jealous because they don't have LeBron and AD. Yeah. I mean, look, it's like I said earlier. If you really wanted, all these teams, as much as they talk, like, all these fans and stuff like that, how is it the Lakers' fault that they do what is necessary to win the championship? There's a reason the Lakers aren't down very often. It's because every year they try to figure out what moves can we do to win a championship. And you can't say that about every team. You can't. Because not every team in the league cares about winning championships. I mean, look at the Wizards. The Wizards have had Bradley Beal. They had Bradley Beal and John Wall at one point. Yes, injuries hurt, but they never did anything to try to make them better. Like there was a point in time where they were both healthy. Even now with Bradley Beal, like Bradley Beal has been loyal. What have they done? Look at the Portland Trail Blazers, right? Damian Lillard has been one of the most loyal players in the last, since Kobe and Duncan and Dirk. And what are the Portland Trail Blazers doing to try to put a real contender around him? Like, yeah, they blew up their team. They should have done that 2-3 years earlier. And it's like, but again, not all teams will. At the end of the day, no one is mad at the Lakers organization. They're highly respected. The issue is to say that the bubble ring is the hardest ring ever is false. Now, I'm not saying that undoubtedly it is, but look at what everyone said. So what is it? Is it just, so Xavier, what is it to you? Is it equal to every ring? Is it less? Is it more? What is it? And the Lakers are highly respected amongst the NBA and organizations, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about fans. We're talking about fandoms. There are more people. If you're not a Laker fan, most teams don't have respect for the Lakers. They're always trying to find a way. Are there fans that do? Of course. Like me, I respect the Celtics. I respect the Nets. I respect every team in the league because I am a basketball fan. I'm an NBA fan. But not everyone is like that. And you can't tell me that the Lakers don't get more just, shit talking than anything else. Braun is way bigger than the Lakers brand. You all definitely should be kissing his ass for even showing up. I don't know about that. Talking about a history that is, the Lakers will be around long before LeBron, won't we? I do think LeBron is the greatest player ever, but again, the Lakers trade THT none for Eric Gordon if they get Kyrie trade done. Um, I mean, yeah, but at that point, why? Because you're probably getting either Seth Curry or Joe Harris in that deal. And then at that point, you're probably better off keeping none in THT. Not just that, but the Rockets, they want a first round pick. And if we end up doing the Kyrie deal, we're probably not going to have a first round pick. Um, it still upset me. We did not get a championship parade in 2020, but the Warriors got theirs this year. Yeah, I mean, it does suck. We still haven't gotten a championship. It sucks. Hey, two things. One, so now we're using the word worldwide crisis to hate on LeBron now that the new low, because trust me, if Luca, Katie, and Steph, it's all good. Two 15 teams with no rings would love a bubble ring. Exactly. I mean, look, people always want to find a way to trash greatness. Like when you're talking about LeBron, like however you feel about LeBron, whether you love him, whether you hate him, whatever. He is everything you could ever want from a superstar and a face of your league, and just an all-time great in general. The guy had more hype coming in the league than any player ever lived up to that hype. He's never had as much as a parking ticket. He's had the same girl since he was a kid, family, everything. I mean, he does nothing but good. He has the LeBron James Family Foundation that's trying to change lives. He started a school for kids. Like the dude has done everything you could. And when you're great, and when you're somebody that doesn't really have skeletons in their closet, people will do whatever they can to find something. Everyone's always like, oh, there's the I gotcha moment, because we live in a world where people just want to tear you down. That's just what it is. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. You have people that are just miserable and they have nothing better to do than to sit around and wait for you to do something or say something or whatever. And the problem is most people, they care enough to actually allow it to affect them. Like and LeBron has been about as much of a model citizen as you could be. And so people try to find, like, anything he says gets put under a microscope, and people try to, take things out of context, and they try to do this, that, and the other. They've done it with everybody, anyone and everyone. I mean, even Steph, like as great as Steph has been, I mean, the internet was going after him because of his wife and stuff like that. Like, let the man be. Like, it's none of your business. Like, but people want to make it their business. Like, people have nothing better going on in their lives than to like try to find a flaw in somebody else. Like, instead of spending the time to be like so negative and trying to tear people down, why don't you spend time trying to find happiness in yourself? Get a hobby or something. The argument I hear is that it's the bubble, that it's easy. But how come your team didn't win if it was really easy? Exactly. That's my point. If it was so easy, how come the Lakers were the only team that won? What advantage did the Lakers have in the bubble that no other team had? There wasn't one. No, every team had the exact same playing field. And every single person in that bubble talked about how hard it was, how mentally draining it was. I mean, there were half the teams in the league wanted to leave. Like literally, I don't know if people just forget or what, or they have recency bias or what, but the Clippers and many other teams wanted to abandon the bubble and go home and wanted to just scratch the season. Like that happened. They actually talked about that. There was a meeting, and then they finally decided to ride it out. But there were literally teams that it was so mentally draining and so difficult that they didn't even want to play anymore. So how is that the Lakers' fault? Because they were more mentally tough? People also forget we almost beat the Suns the second year after the playoffs until AD went down. It would have been another championship. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they would have won the championship that year, but who knows? Seriously, because they were up 2-1. It looked like we were going to go up 3-1, and then Anthony Davis got hurt. Who knows what would have happened if that happened, Denver lost Murray. Probably not enough rest for him. He played in the conference final against the Lakers. Exactly. All the teams, all the teams that made a deep run in that bubble year, the following year, they all fell apart. They all really struggled. Um, Greetings, gentlemen. I really like your show, and I think you're telling the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Well, thank you so much, Terrence. I really appreciate it. Hey, look, I will always, what you'll always get from me is you'll always get honesty and you'll always get, my point of view, whether you like it or not. And am I always right? No. Do I have bad takes? Absolutely. Are there going to be times where I'm wrong? Absolutely. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Nothing is right, but I always try to give my honest opinion. That at least, there's enough of the fakeness in the world. We don't, somebody's got to speak the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So I always maintain that. Um, do you mess with Los Polos TV? Never even heard of it, to be honest. I'll have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, no, I've never even heard of that. Um, what else? I can't stand the Suns. They were talking, bragging, but no chip. Plus, I can't stand Cameron Payne. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, look, like I said, what would have happened, we'll never know. Again, it's getting into the what ifs, but I can say we were up 2-1, and it was looking like we were going to win game 3 because they had no answer for Anthony Davis. LeBron James was making, Crowder look like he was his son, for wanting to use another word, but we're on a live stream, so let's not get the streams closed down. I mean, LeBron was walking around out there making everyone hold his pocket, and then Davis went down, and boom, everything changed. At least Dame ain't running away for the grind. I respect the hell out of him. Seriously, him and Bradley Beal. I mean, they both have showed extreme loyalty. The problem is that the organization hasn't, and that's the problem. Like Dirk was always loyal to Dallas, got him a championship. Kobe was loyal to the Lakers and got him a championship. Was there a time where Kobe wanted out? Absolutely. But he put the pressure on the Lakers, and guess what? The Lakers were like, "Nah, we're not trading you. Here's Powell." So would Kobe have actually left? Who knows? Again, another what if, but he put pressure on them, and the pressure worked. They ended up winning 2 more championships after that. It's just like I was talking about earlier. The problem is there are a lot of teams that just they don't care about winning. As long as they're making money, as long as people are buying, concessions and buying tickets and buying merch and stuff, they're fine with that. There's a lot of owners that run these organizations strictly as a business, and they don't care about winning, even though winning is the best way to make the most money because you get more games, you get more promotion, you get if you really wanted to win some money, or if you really wanted to make some money, it's that. It's funny how Perk talked that we become little brothers to the Clippers. With the talk with Keyshawn. I mean, Clippers like to talk a lot of stuff. I mean, even Steve Ballmer was talking about, maybe teams will respect us more and we can finally, run LA if, we move to a new stadium and this, that, and the other. Like, hate to break it to you, you're not. You're not going to be able. Even the Clippers could win the next 5 championships, and they're still not. They're still always be little brother because you're talking about 50 years of legacy over a team that's on a run. Will the Clippers win a championship at some point? I believe so. I mean, I think the Clippers have the best team in the league right now on paper. Question is, are the Clippers going to clip themselves like they always do? And can they stay healthy? Because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have not been able to stay healthy as of late. So I just don't have faith. But realistically, will the Clippers win a championship one day? Probably. Could it be this year? Could it be 100 years from now? Who knows? But very likely at some point the Clippers will win a championship in the history of their franchise. Whether they end up making the right draft moves or they end up signing the right players or whatever, sooner or later they're going to win a championship. But like I said, they could win the next 5 and they'll still always be little brother because you're talking about a history and legacy that spans the duration of the NBA over like one run, even Kobe got a lot of hate. Of course, when you're great, you get hate. It's just how it works. Lakers would have beaten a Jamal Murray-less Nuggets in 2021, and a Clippers versus Lakers Western Conference Final would have been nice, but injuries happen to just a part of the game. Yeah, they are. I mean, it's something that, it always goes into it. It's always something you got to expect. It's always something to be taken into account. Like we talked about earlier, the Raptors. You know, would they have really won that championship if like the entire Warriors starting five didn't get hurt and fall apart? Probably not. They probably would have gotten swept. But you can't discredit their championship. They won it. Their job is to beat the team in front of them. Whatever the makeup of players that is, they did it. If the whole team gets hurt and you got five guys off the street that have to come in and play, if they win, they win. It's just the way of the law. It's how it works. But I still would love a Clippers Lakers series, even if it's not the Western Conference Final, even if it's like round one. Like it's crazy that it hasn't happened. What's going on, Marcus? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Oh, no, don't want to do that. People live rent free in our head. We're the most talked about team in the media. Most people of writing. Yeah, absolutely. We're as the Lakers. You're always going to get talked about, right? You're always. It's just how it's going to happen. I mean, media, they will stretch stories, they will make up stories, they'll do whatever they can. If you want to get views and you want to get people to click on stuff and you want people to acknowledge things, talk about the Lakers. It's just how it goes. I mean, from a content creator perspective, even on As It Stands, which isn't a Laker channel, right? I talk about all sports. I've talked about football. I've talked about the Wizards. I've talked about the Magic. I've talked about everything on that channel. And my Laker videos still do better. My Laker videos are some of the best videos on that channel. My best video ever isn't, but most of the big videos are Laker related topics because the Lakers they're the team that even people that aren't Laker fans want to watch stories about the Lakers so they can bash them, so they can find out what's going on, how is it going to affect their team, everything. So of course, I'm just lucky that I grew up in LA my whole life and I'm a Laker fan. So I can talk about it. I know the history. I grew up in LA. I've been to, I was there with the Forum days, stuff like that. Can't wait for the second round exit flippers 340. Yeah. I mean, it's probably coming. At the end of the day, it probably is coming sooner or later. That's the thing. I really believe on paper, the Clippers have the best team in the league. I think that they are the most deep. I think they are just ridiculously talented. I mean, so much so they should probably take a couple of those players and ship them out for mid-tier guys, because they just have so much depth. At some point, you got to consolidate some of those players and get some new players. But I mean, on paper, they look like a team that is primed and ready to win a championship. Problem is, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have not been able to stay healthy. Even when they were healthy, they're still blowing 3-1 leads. I don't think Ty Lue is going to blow a 3-1 lead because he is a really good coach, and he really is great at in-game adjustments and adjustments game by game. Ty Lue definitely deserves his flowers. That dude, he's a great coach. They got the coach, they got the players, they got everything. Problem is their two stars just can't stay healthy. They can't. And so it's one of those things we'll see. We'll see how this year shapes up. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if, we're in the second round of the playoffs and once again, they lose, in game 7 or, they blow a 3-1 lead or, whatever it is that ends up happening. I definitely could see that happening. But anyway, oh, come on. I just did that. There we go. There we go. All right, good. All right. But yeah. So that being said, like I said, I just wanted to have a nice little talk with everyone, see everyone's opinions and perspectives on all that stuff, and just kind of have a fun little discussion, little debate on the Lakers bubble ring, because I do. I mean, it was trending at one point. People were talking about all this stuff, so I was like, hey, it's a good point of discussion. It's a good point to actually talk about and all of that. Problem with these analysis, they want to reward players' accolades they haven't won. You know what? Like Stephen A. Smith says Devin Booker is the next Kobe when he's never won anything. I see. I agree with that too. Like I've talked about on a live stream. I think it was on As It Stands, like the mother channel, so to speak. It like Damian Lillard. I love Damian Lillard, and as great as he is, as much as I enjoy watching him play, what has he done? Like, is Damian Lillard a Hall of Famer? Like, by today's standards, yeah, he's probably getting into the Hall of Fame. But like 30 years ago, he wouldn't have been because he's never won anything. He has no MVPs. He has no championships. You know, he's never had like a defensive first team. Like, he's always been a really great player, but he's a player that's never achieved anything. And as great as Damian Lillard is, unfortunately, he's going to be an afterthought in 20 years. You know, you're going to have all these conversations about all these great players and all these guys, and then it's going to come down and you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, Damian Lillard. I remember he was good. I liked him." And that's going to be Damian Lillard's legacy, unfortunately. And he's tremendous. I love him. But seriously, there's a lot of players that have been fantastic in this league, but they never accomplished anything. And you never hear about him. No one ever talks about him. And that's what Damian Lillard's going to end up being, unfortunately. It sucks. The bubble ring was well earned. Yeah, it was. I agree. I agree 100%. Jealous fans attempt to belittle the bubble ring. Yeah, they do. Of course they do. You know, it's like I was talking earlier. If it was so easy, why didn't your team win? And what advantage did the Lakers have? You know, even somebody that's watching this on the replay, because there's going to be people that watch this on the replay. And if you got to this point, thank you for hanging in there that long. But tell me something. If you're somebody that's like, you know, the Lakers bubble ring didn't count, and it was this, that, and the other, what advantage did the Lakers have that no other team had? Because it was an even playing field. They waited longer so some of the players on other teams could get healthy. So yeah, the Lakers had a very fair shake. Dame doesn't play defense. He doesn't. That is absolutely true. He doesn't. And it sucks. Like I said, I love Damian Lillard, but in reality, he's a guy that's going to be an afterthought. He's not going to be a guy that's remembered, unfortunately. How are you going to call someone the next thing but never won anything? Example, Booker. I agree. You know, you can't. I mean, Booker's still pretty young, but still, like, you know, the problem is like media and fans and stuff in general. They get so beloved with certain players and they hype them up to another level. Like, I can't tell you how many Suns fans told me Mikal Bridges is better than Kevin Durant, or that, you know, they would never trade Kevin Durant for Mikal Bridges because Mikal Bridges is going to be the next best. He's not even the best player on your team right now. What do you mean? Like, you know, he's the fourth option on your team. Like, you know, if he's that good, why isn't he a superstar? You know what I mean? Like, the problem is, like, even some Laker fans do it. You know, everyone thinks, you know, Brandon Ingram's going to be the next. You know, we should have never traded Ingram. Like, we won a championship. Like, what do you mean we shouldn't have traded him? You know, it's like, it's how it is. Media, some fans, I'm not saying all fans, media, some fans, things like that. They all hype up everyone believes that the person that they drafted this year is going to be the next, you know, Michael Jordan. But more times than not, it's not going to happen. You know, could they be a great player? Possibly. But, you know, there's a lot of great players that never won or accomplished anything. You know, I mean, even think about how iconic and legendary Charles Barkley is. He never won a championship. You know, I mean, James Harden. James Harden might be one of the most skilled players ever. I mean, it's just from a scoring perspective. That guy is incredible. And what has he won? You know, he's gotten MVPs. He has like individual accolades, but he's always disappeared in the playoffs. And he did it again this past year. You know, and so that's just the way of the land. That's just how it works, unfortunately. But, you know, it is. It's weird. It's unfortunate. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little live stream for all of you and just, you know, have some discussions, have some conversations, stuff like that. I'm going to get some videos up on As It Stands. And then I'm Might try to get a video up later on this, but just thought I'd have about a nice little hour conversation with people. Patrick Ewing, and Karl Malone never won a championship. Exactly. Karl Malone went to the Lakers. That's another one. Like, if Karl Malone didn't get hurt, would the Lakers have won the championship that year? I mean, that's a good question too. But anyway, again, I'm gonna get out of here. I just wanted to do about like hour, 45 minutes to an hour live stream, and we're there. So thank you all for hanging out with me. We'll definitely do this again very, very soon, likely tomorrow, and I will see you guys all in the next one.